What is going on, everybody? We are here talking about an NBA trade that just went down this morning. It kind of seems like a weird, pointless trade to a point. It was from Mike Muscala and Danny Gallinari and 2 second-round picks for Marvin Bagley and Isaiah Livers. So two of the worst teams in the NBA making a trade for basically nothing each. I mean, it makes no sense. For Washington, this is really weird to me because I don't know what Bagley and Livers' contract is. I do know Gallinari and Masalas were on expiring contracts. So it does kind of make sense for the Pistons, but also Washington gave up 2 first-round picks for Marvin Bagley and Isaiah Livers. Just kind of seems really weird to me. Definitely not worth the trade that they not worth making that trade for Washington. Just doesn't look good in my opinion. I don't think Marvin Bagley or Isaiah Livers is going to make them better or worse. Realistically, they might make them worse, to be honest. Nobody's really averaging a ton of points between these guys. I think Gallinari's averaging 7 and Gonzalez averaging 4. Livers is, I think, averaging around 4 or 5. And Bagley's averaging about 10 a game, which is not terrible. But to be fair, Bagley has been a bust since he's been drafted, pretty much. He was like a 3rd overall pick a few years ago. It just hasn't worked out. And for the Pistons, this is okay, I guess, of a trade. Kind of sucks for Gallinari and Masalas that they couldn't get traded to at least a somewhat competent team. A team at least competing for a play-in spot. Instead, they're going to go down in history on probably one of the worst teams in NBA history, even though they weren't on it at the start of the year. And maybe they pick up a few more wins. Maybe moving Bagley gives Wiseman more play time, and maybe that's what they're hoping for, because Wiseman and Bagley competed for that backup center role, and Bagley won it. So maybe for Detroit, they want to move off of Bagley so Wiseman can get more playtime, but I'm not sold on that either. I think this is honestly just a pointless trade between two really bad teams that are just doing whatever. Like, God knows what their plans are here at all. It just kind of seems dumb. Neither trade helps one, neither trade hurts one. It just kind of seems super, super pointless, and I don't get it. But if I had to realistically sit here and kind of debate on which one I think won the trade, Detroit definitely won this trade. They got a little bit of draft capital. I think it was a 25 and 26 second-round pick, which is, whatever. They're second-round picks, and Detroit sucks at drafting, so it's probably not going to matter in the end of the day. But they still got them. They got those picks. They also ended up getting 2 guys on expiring contracts. Like I said, I don't know Livers or Bagley's contract situation. I don't know if they're about to expire or if they're locked in for a little while longer. But I do know that it's probably better than I have Bagley and Livers on your team. Livers has just not been good at all. Not one bit. And Bagley is Bagley. I mean, like I said, he's one of the biggest busts in all times. I'm amazed he's still in the league. If he is on an expiring contract, this might be his last legit shot being on a team. He might be moving on here soon enough. Just because neither guy is very good. And for Gallinari and Masalas, they're both kind of old. One's 32. I think Masalas is 32. Gallinari is 35. So I can completely see those guys just being about done in their careers as well. So you basically just moved a bunch of people who don't matter in this league. And this is kind of a bad, I know there was one other trade for AOG Anunoby a few weeks ago that was a little bit bigger than this one, but this is kind of bad blockbuster. Not blockbuster. I guess I wouldn't consider that because neither team's good and no player's a blockbuster player, but a trade, a decent trade, and it just doesn't make sense to me why either team makes this trade. And neither team gets better, neither team really gets worse, I guess, at the end of the day. I mean, Pistons might have got a little bit worse, but does that really matter? They're going to end up having the best odds in the lottery, no matter what happened throughout the season, no matter how many trades they make. It just isn't going to get much better, and honestly, if I'm them, I should move Cade at some point as well. And same thing with Washington trying to get Kuzma or Poole off of their books. Washington just made some dumb decisions over the years, and this seems like another one in my opinion. Trading draft capital for guys who don't matter at all on your team, which makes absolutely no sense for me. You're 7-31. You're not making a playoff run, and for Detroit, you're 3 and whatever. It's not going to matter either way who's on your team at that point, unless you build the greatest team of all time. You're still missing the playoffs, which is crazy to think. But if I had to kind of grade this draft, or this trade draft, if I had to grade this trade, I would say getting Bagley and Livers off your team, the Detroit Pistons get an A, and I would say Washington gets an F. This just seemed pointless to me. You traded draft capital for two dudes who suck. I mean, it doesn't make a ton of sense to me. What was the plan here by Washington? It's not like they got less money on their books. I think all 4 contracts are expiring, so at the end of the day, I guess it's not a huge deal. But you gave up 2 second-round picks, which, yeah, it's second-round picks in the NBA doesn't matter a ton, but it's still kind of a loss. I mean, you just gave up draft capital for 2 dudes who don't matter. It makes no sense to me, so Washington gets an F, and Detroit gets an A just because they got Bagley and Livers off their team, and they got 2 dudes who are at least competent. They've been in the league long enough. Let me know what you guys think down in the comment section below about this draft. I keep saying draft. This trade. See you in the